So don't take that.
We won't take the...
Yes, let's be the
Pods.
in Springfield.
Episode 40 of Pods.
In the key.
Oh.
Springfield. Are we up to 40 now?
Yeah, this is the 40th episode.
Jeez, okay.
Because
Not including all the Eat My Shorts and the bullshit spin-offs and everything. This is the 40th episode of straight up standard Pods in the key of Springfield.
bullshit episode seems like a bold thing to phrase such wonderful substreams as 22 long films about or otherwise tangentially related to Springfield.
All that, Simpsons movie series we have quietly ticking over in the background. I was, actually, Nick, I want to propose to you a new little mini-series on this episode.
I can't wait.
You know how, are you familiar with all these podcasts out there that take like a minute of a movie and like each episode is about 1 minute of that movie?
I did not know that this was a thing.
Yep, that's the whole thing. I
Wait,
think
this-
it started with the Star Wars minute, or maybe not, but that's like a thing that people do.
Right.
So can we do a little mini-series called Monorail Minutes?
Monorail minutes.
Yeah, where we look at Marge versus the Monorail 1 minute per episode, because that's one of the two episodes we're looking at today. Marge versus the Monorail and Selma's Choice.
Season 4, episode 12, Marge vs. the Monorail, and season
Yep.
4, episode 13, Selma's Choice.
And I would like to state emphatically up front
Emphatically.
that Marge versus the Monorail fucks.
I reckon you could do that more emphatically.
It fucks hard. It is.
Right.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and when people ask me what my favorite episode of The Simpsons is, which is a daily occurrence, as you understand, people come up to me on the street and say, James, what's your favorite episode, man?
Yeah.
Marge vs. the Monorail has been my default answer for the last 3 or so years, or 2.5 years, since we last watched it together.
Since the run-through when you and I were both at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, mentally speaking.
Yes.
And we decided to winch ourselves out through the medium of Matt Groening.
Yeah, when we lived together, when we were both in a bad state and we just watched a lot of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Not so different from how our lives are now, really, except that we live in different homes.
It's true.
And now we get to share our misery with more people.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even that many more people, really, but, some people.
Oh, it's a little joke there about our listenership.
Yeah.
That's good.
Don't forget to tell your friends about this podcast.
Please tell someone.
Because if we were a TV show, we would have been cancelled by now.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that our release schedule got bumped to 3 a.m. on a Wednesday morning.
Not that far from the actual truth.
It's a Simon and Garfunkel reference there for anyone that's
Is it?
playing along at home. Wednesday morning, 3 a.m. It's one of my favourite songs.
How does it go?
I can hear the soft breathing of the girl that I love.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. What are you doing? You getting up and leaving? Oh, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick from Pods in the Key of Springfield, performing the song we just talked about, I think. Is that what you're doing?
Oh, I don't really remember. I can hear the soft breathing of the girl that I love. As she lies here beside me, asleep with the night. It's meant to be much more fingerpicky.
In Springfield.
But fingerpicking's hard. Anyway, that was
Finger picking good.
by KFS&G, Kentucky Fried, Simon and Garfunkel. KFS&G, Kentucky Fried, Simon and Garfunkel. It's finger picking good.
Sure, okay, well.
You could say that song's a real zinger.
Yeah. Is the Zinger Burger an international thing? Do they have that at all KFCs?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes.
You know, in America, they don't serve chips at their KFC. I found out yesterday they have wedges.
Wedges?
Yeah.
Nah, look, fuck wedges.
Well, I'm not going to take a fuck wedges stance, but I do think the KFC chip is a good chip.
The KFC chip is a good chip. I'm also going to in another series we're running, which is Nick has unnecessarily hot takes, because I've already cracked out against vinyl.
Yes.
In a recent episode. I'm also going to crack out against wedges. The reason why is I am a big fan of sauces and toppings. I just want to explain. I'm going to divert for a second to explain the look on your face to the listeners, which is, Nick, I've got 4 pages of notes on this episode alone. We cannot talk about wedges. Guess what, James? Doing it anyway.
I know we're going to talk. I know we're going to talk about some bullshit. It's fine. Just tell me your feelings on wedges.
All I want is complete, unrestricted freedom when it comes to toppings and sauces.
And you worry that the wedge reins you into just a few select options?
It reins you in to sour cream and sweet chili. 2 sauces that I got to say, I'm not that... Well, sour cream's not really a sauce. 2 toppings that I have to say I'm not that really enamored with. Whereas if you have chips, you open yourself up to a world of, like, tomato sauces, barbecue sauces, mustards, dips, like, hot sauces. Everything's there. With gravy, even. But with wedges... You only ever get sour cream and sweet chili, and that's bullshit.
But is that not part of the social contract we built up around wedges? Could it not be, much as this podcast is sometimes just not about The Simpsons, couldn't wedges sometimes just go into a different dip?
They could be, but they don't.
Couldn't you maybe lead this revolution, do you think?
I'd like to, but what I'm saying is that, like, the reason why I say fuck wedges is if I'm ever at a place and I'm faced with a choice of ordering a bowl of hot chips or a bowl of wedges are never going to get there for me. Because with the chips might have a mustard, they might have an aioli, they might have all kinds of stuff on the side of them. The wedges are only... They could even have, like, a fucking jalapeno relish on the side of it, right? The wedges are only ever going to have sour cream and sweet chili.
I guess my argument, and I'm not going to make much of an argument because I would like to talk about The Simpsons, but my argument would be that the wedge is a heartier option. If all you're going to eat is some chips, then I think eating the bowl of wedges is maybe going to leave you slightly more satisfied than the bowl of chips would. You might feel like less of a piece of shit after the bowl of wedges. Or more fulfilled,
right?
I suppose.
Right.
Whereas the chips, I don't know, like, the grease is going to get you down over time, and the fact that you're just eating a big bowl of chips, I think wedges have their place, is what I'm saying.
Nah. I'm running a wedge-free society over here.
Okay, well, I'm not going to persuade you on wedges, but, Marge vs. the Monorail, I think we're on the same page with, aren't we?
Oh my god, this episode is exhaustingly good.
Yes. The opening couch gag is a bunch of characters running into the room and all crowding around the television.
You know why? Because they all want to watch this episode.
Absolutely, yes. Because this episode fucks, and they all want to watch it.
Does that couch gag appear? I'm sure it appears at the start of other episodes. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I don't think most couch gags repeat. I think the circus carnival one does because it's a time filler, but this one I think is a singular.
Well, in that case,
non-repeating one.
We could check that, but we won't. But in that case, it's even better that this is possibly one of the best, most densely packed episodes.
Yes.
And it's the only one that has the entire town crowding around to watch it. Perfect.
This episode, I'm pretty sure, I should have looked this up, but I'm pretty sure it was written by Conan O'Brien.
Oh, yes.
Who only wrote a handful of episodes, but they're all amazing. Like, Homer Goes to College, which is also one of his, might be my second favorite episode of The Simpsons. I think
very good.
Conan O'Brien was an amazing writer. And he wrote this, and it's amazing, and I love it. I love it so much that I think I might just collapse midway through this episode out of joy.
All right.
The moment this episode started,
then I can finally get to talk about some chips more.
Once it properly started, you just loudly screamed "fuck" in excitement at what was happening on the screen.
We had been talking, as we were navigating the menu, we'd been talking about what a good episode Marge versus the Monorail is. And I was like, yeah, you're right, this episode's really good. This is so densely packed, it's amazing. And then as soon as the episode starts and we see that Homer starts with the Flintstones Homer Simpson song.
Yep, yabba dabba doo.
I had forgotten that was at the start of this episode. And so I lost my mind. I already had a very high bar for where this episode was going to sit. And then, as you point out, I quite rightly scream, fuck, very loudly, because it was such a wonderful revelation to realise that this too is in this episode.
And he crashes right into a chestnut tree. Nick, can I just say, yabba dabba doo, I like podcasting with you.
Oh, thanks, man.
Oh, man. This might actually be an episode where we talk about The Simpsons a lot. Wouldn't that be something?
Could be. So watch our listenership plummet.
Or go up.
I don't think it's going to go
It's
up.
hard to know what people want. Why do you keep playing with bottle tops there? You're making so much noise.
I know. I'm very fidgety today. So far in this recording, I've played with my S9 phone box. I played with some golf tees. I played with some bottle caps.
Yeah, pick up a harmonica next and just start playing prison tunes.
I'm like
You
Top
picked
Gun
up a
over here.
guitar and started playing that.
I think it's because I know that this episode is going to be very Simpsons heavy, and so I'm subconsciously rebelling against that. I can also, just looking at what's on the table in front of us, I can also play with a coin and guitar picks, some textures, a mini cricket bat for some reason, a paid water bill, and a remote. So
Yeah.
I've got some things I can do, things I can fidget with.
Sure, but let's try to keep this a professional operation that people can listen and say, "Oh, I liked that."
Burns pays the city $3 million.
Yep.
Could this be the end of the economic crisis?
The economic crisis. I got a lot of thoughts on this.
All right, I think I'm going to have to just sit back and let you take the lead on this because for the listeners, Jackal legitimately has 4 pages of notes for this episode. I have 4 notes.
I thought you had more than 4 notes. You seem to be writing a lot during the episode.
I've actually got the closest I've ever had to a full page.
I love the covert music in The Simpsons.
Bum, 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 bum. Yep.
Wow, I think it's from something. Maybe.
I think it's from something too, actually. Oh fuck, I used to know that.
It's like Beverly Hills Cop.
No, it's from a movie.
That is a movie, isn't it?
Oh fuck, sorry. I was thinking of Beverly Hills 90210.
Very different.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, good covert music.
So it opens up with old mate Burnsy and Smithers smuggling toxic waste out of the plant and just dumping it. And they say they can't dump any more at the playground because all those bald children are arousing suspicion.
Very good.
Maybe the darkest joke they could have possibly made, I think. The implication that children are dying is a direct result of their actions.
Yeah.
A joke that I like a lot, though.
Oh, it's a very good joke.
I think if you're going to make a joke about children dying, this is the most nuanced way to do it.
And that's what you want. You want nuance.
Yeah. So they're dumping it all in a park, and then some Boy Scouts stumble upon their little game of hide the ooze. Another great line. This episode is just great, top to bottom.
Very good.
The episode then very quickly turns into a critique of capitalist crime.
Oh.
Just this really made me think. You know how like he has to pay $3 million, and he just says, "Just pull my wallet out, and I'm going to buy that statue over there as well." Now, what this is saying is that billionaires could just sort of save society with their fucking pocket change. Like at any moment, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, all these people could just sort of like fix huge problems.
Isn't there...
Jeff Bezos, he could do it.
Yeah, isn't there a thing... I think he's the one I'm going to talk about, because wasn't there a report recently or an article that said, like, Jeff Bezos could... Or maybe it was Musk. No, I think it was Bezos. He's the Amazon guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
With American average house prices, I think it's the statistic was he could buy a house for every homeless person in America and still have like $8 million or $8 billion left or something
like
absurd.
Comfortably.
Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's and of course, you know, Amazon has the worst fucking work practices of just about any big business. You know, people commit suicide in their warehouses. It's ludicrous, but yeah, just this very pointed thing where Burns, like, $3 million is, like, just in his wallet.
In his wallet, just hanging out.
And it's enough to completely overhaul the town. They spend, I mean, frankly, $3 million doesn't seem like enough to build a monorail, but, you know, whatever.
Oh, that's an interesting thing. What is the average cost of a monorail?
Well, in my experience building monorails, it's much closer to, like, a $600 million project, I think. But, I guess if you're building them very cheap, like Lanley is...
Yeah.
then it's a different prospect. I like that old mate Burnsy is in the Silence of the Lambs, like a get-up in the court, where he's got the face mask on and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you seen Silence of the Lambs?
Nope.
Have you seen that TV series Hannibal?
No.
Have you read any of the books about the character Hannibal?
No?
Okay.
Are you going to make me read books?
You could if you want.
I don't want to do that.
I was doing a topic at university where I was meant to read Silence of the Lambs. We were studying Silence of the Lambs, and the coordinator kept saying, I was going to get you to read Red Dragon, but that it's too fucked up. I can't make you do it. It's too messed up. I decided not to do it. So I read Red Dragon instead. Good book.
I see.
Yeah. And then, of course, it's also the basis for the second half of Hannibal, Season 3. Mads Mikkelsen, if you're out there, we would love to have you on the podcast.
Is the reason why...
We are mad about Mads.
Is the reason why Red Dragon hit too close to home for that particular lecturer, the reason why it was too messed up, is it because it talks about the 2002 or 3 incident at the Royal Adelaide Show where the spin dragon, one of the rides in Sideshow Alley, came loose and killed several people?
Seems unlikely that that's the reason why.
Okay, I was just trying to think of reasons about why that would hit an Adelaide lecturer so hard.
You're seeing that thing. What are some incidences where local dragons have killed people?
Yeah. And turns out I had one locked and loaded and ready to go.
There's a scene in Red Dragon where a man eats a painting, so, you know.
It's a painting. Was it a painting of food?
No, it was of a dragon. A red dragon, if you will.
What?
At least I think that happens.
Was there some symbolism behind the painting?
Yeah, I think so.
Right. Were the paints toxic?
Dad, it says non-toxic.
Well, that's a plus.
Well, that's a plus, he says while eating the painting.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to cross that note. I'm going to cross that note.
So the Simpsons are thinking about how they would spend the money, and Lisa imagines some sort of VR Genghis Khan thing.
A Genghis Khan simulator.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, I'm wondering, does this exist yet? This feels like if this existed, it would have come up in my periphery since I work in video games.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone has made the definitive VR Genghis Khan simulator.
I'm surprised that no one has. Also, something that you might be able to help me on.
Yeah.
Is VR actually being used much in the educational space, or is it just being used still as like, hey, look, I'm playing Job Simulator in VR. It's like I'm sitting at a real desk.
See, most of my knowledge on that sort of thing is actually a few years out of date at this point, because I used to write a lot about VR. Don't so much anymore, but I don't think it was really coming into the educational spaces so much last time I checked. It is more like job training.
I guess it'd be difficult to equip a class of 30 students out with VR goggles.
Yeah, I mean, you could get the cheap ones, but there probably are movements being made towards that.
Like Google Cardboard, you mean that kind of...
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Like slot the phone in.
Yep.
Right.
But, I don't know, they were making interesting... This is kind of, like, not that funny, but they were making advances in, like, medical treatment and training for various, like, using dangerous machinery, that sort of thing. There's a lot of applications of VR there. I wrote an article about VR pornography once. That sounds horrifying. Yeah, everything Wait, you really perked up there.
No, I perked up in a sense of, that sounds like an interesting thing to write about.
Yeah. And you can read that. I forget which website it was on. Lateral, I think? Was that the name of the thing? Anyway, it's out there somewhere. Just Google my name and then pornography, and that's what you'll find. You just picked up your phone as I said that. You're not Googling my name and then pornography, are you?
I'm picking it up to check. No, that's not a joke I want to make.
What?
Never mind. No.
Okay.
I was going to say, is Lateral a joke? Is Lateral a medication used to treat people that have a climbing-based ADHD?
Oh, okay.
Adderall, Lateral, ladders.
Okay. I get it.
People that have snake-based ADHD. That joke won't fly in America because they call that game Shoots and Ladders.
I mean, even over here, it's a bit of a stretch.
So...
But that's okay. Everything's good. Bart imagines some giant ant robots. This episode fucks.
Mechanical ants.
Yeah. There is a joke every 4 seconds in this episode, and all of them are good.
Yes. It's extremely dense episode.
Yeah. If this was a cake, you would say, a little dense for my taste, but as an episode of TV, it fucks.
It'd be like the Boston mud cake from the Cheesecake Shop.
Yeah.
Very dense. You cut yourself a big slice, you cut yourself a nice triangle, you get half a mouthful in and go, fucking hell, a little bit much of that.
Yeah, but it's the cake that would be at every party between 2003 and about 2009, I think.
Yeah, I reckon that's a pretty solid timeline of the Boston of the Boston mud cake time.
Yeah, because I feel like they have fewer locations now than they used to. The old,
They do. Yeah.
the cheesecake shop.
Yeah. Where is the nearest cheesecake shop, and do you want to get cake?
All the time. A little bit.
Excellent.
I'm going to talk about this town meeting where we meet La Lanley, because I got a question that is burning away at me here.
Burnsing?
Yeah, we meet Mr. Snrub in this scene.
Snrub.
And he thinks they should give all the money to the power plant. Smithers likes the way he thinks, obviously. Who is this guy? He's unfamiliar to me. Who is Snrub?
Well, I had always assumed, and maybe this is naive, because I think generally your general knowledge of The Simpsons is higher than mine. I had always assumed that it was Mr. Burns wearing a moustache, but the fact that you haven't picked up on that makes me question my own reality.
Wearing a moustache? What are you talking about, Nick? He's a different guy. He's got a different name.
It's Mr. Burns in a...
Snrub.
Snrub is Burns backwards. Better look Burns suit. You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that suit burns better. Sneaky peeks, I get it, but...
Yeah.
But this is a different person, right? It's
Actually, wait. In the sneaky peeks thing, you do the backward speech thing.
Yeah.
If you take Snrub and then you're going to reverse it here, it's not going to sound like Burns.
Burns. It might.
It might.
We'll find out.
We'll
James, edit that.
Stephen.
Oh man, I really have a lot of notes for this. So Lyle Lanley pops up and he says, hey, instead of fixing Main Street, let's build something flashy to make the town look better and, you know, something fun instead of actually fixing the major issues we have in the town, which is this episode, Nick.
Yes.
I don't even know how to deal with how good this episode is. I work professionally as a critic, you know. This is what I do. I look at things and I break them down and I explain what works and what doesn't, and I critique, and I just fall apart at this episode. This episode is so ludicrously good.
It is very, very good.
Like, fuck, man. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that anyone could make anything this good.
This is great, because I'm actually now, I'm just annoying you by how non-invested I am. I love this episode a lot, but I can't match your energy, so I'm going in the opposite direction. And I'm doodling on my notepad.
Even the character design on Lyle, like that little like squint he has around his eyes, like every fucking detail of this episode.
And the little innocent like baby curl that pops out from under his boater hat.
Yes.
Yes, it's tremendous.
I'm pretty sure that wide swaths of this episode are a parody of some movie that I have not seen. I don't remember the name of this movie, and I refuse to look it up because whatever the movie is, this episode has superseded it in importance in every way. The original art this is based on is now irrelevant.
Yes.
Marge vs. the Monorail is the only true form of art. It is maybe the crowning achievement of Western civilization in the 20th century.
So Homer gets asked by the Monorail ad on TV,
yes,
are you on your third beer for the evening? And Homer responds with an extraordinarily relatable, does whiskey count as beer?
Yes.
Would you like a beer?
Yes.
All right.
Would you like me to keep talking or take a break? Okay, so let's talk about this, Pod's audience. I've mentioned before on this podcast that my grandfather often will see like a joke and he'll find something other than the punchline itself funny. Like he might look at a Gary Larson comic and just find it funny that the cows are talking. Homer laughing at the mule with the spinning wheel anecdote and saying, heh, mule, is very much that. So this episode always makes me think of my grandfather.
Is your grandfather the person that I met and he said, I haven't seen you for years?
Yep.
Don't open that just yet.
Okay. I was going to roll it, but okay. You got it.
No, I'm a shaking.
Yeah, you met him and he said he hadn't seen you in a long time. You said, I've never met you, old man, and pushed him over.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, only some of that is true.
I was going to try to get out of it with a joke, but I knew he wouldn't get the joke, so I just thought I'd push him over instead.
Yeah, you pulled out your phone and just showed him some Gary Larsons. Had a royal old time with them.
See, it's cow tools.
Now, I've got a note here that just says pure joy, and then joy is underlined.
Oh.
And right next to that, in all caps, I've written, the ring came off his pudding can.
Yes. Okay, is that the moment you find pure joy?
I find this whole episode... I'm having a good time. Nick.
having
You know
a
how
good
rare
time.
it is that I enjoy things?
Yeah, no, yes. I've been with you in the Mariana Trench.
I love the...
Do you reckon there's a thing called the Marinara Trench, which is just like a pasta sauce? Like a seafood-based pasta sauce?
That could be like an option at a restaurant.
Yeah,
I'll have the marinara trench.
I'll
They
have
just
it.
give you a trough of marinara sauce. And there's just like, you have to dig through it with your hands to find like scallops and prawns.
I would be so into the Marinara Trench. They give you a little like scuba mask so you can just plunge your head into it and like look from side to
You're
side.
like bobbing for prawns.
Bobbing for prawns, yeah.
I love this Monorail song because it devolves into being about nothing so quickly. It starts with, actual questions. I hear the tracks are awfully loud, flies as softly as a cloud, and then eventually, were you sent here by the devil? No good, sir, I'm on the level. The ring came off my pudding can. It's perfect. It's beautiful. What a fucking pure piece of work.
It's wonderful. It's good.
Yes.
I find it very difficult to know what to do in this episode where you're just saying things are good and I agree with you that they're good. I'm trying to find ways that I can change the rhythm of this episode.
So your entire strategy here is to not only sabotage the episode, but to You're doing like Shakespearean asides here. You have like little soliloquies where you pull up to the side and like, methinks the episode is going too well.
No, it's not that.
Certainly I shall supplant him with odious methods.
My concern is if this episode becomes 90 minutes of me saying, yes, James, I agree, that bit is good, then that's going to be a tedious episode. I'm trying to find ways to balance.
I'll supplicate his joys and pay succor to the episode.
We need some light and shade here, is all I'm saying.
Some light and shade.
We need some light and shade.
Okay, well, we can drink these beers.
Yeah, okay. Oh, they sounded so good in my headphones.
Now,
I cross out the third beer of the evening note. Floating heads. The floating heads and the repeated phrases. That's like the third or fourth time in this season that we've seen that device.
Yeah, a scene where Marge is driving along in her car and she sees the heads floating around saying, I've sold monorails and so. My name's Lyle. And it goes on like that, yeah.
Yeah, I really like that season 4. This is the season for that device.
I really like Homer sees the ad for the Truckosaurus movie starring Marlon Brando as John Truckosaurus. Mm-hmm. Now, I've never made this connection, but you know how I have that stupid joke where movies are always just...
Like Alfred John Wick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or John Boyhood, Renegade Cop, which is what the movie Boyhood is about.
Yeah, totally.
I really like the movie Boyhood, by the way. Have we talked about the movie Boyhood on this podcast?
What's the movie Love the Beast about?
That's about Eric Love the Beast. Or, no, actually, it's about Eric Love, who is a beast.
Oh, nice.
There we
nice.
go.
Yeah, there we go. Cool.
Yeah, that's better.
That works. That works. Eric Love.
Eric Love, if you are listening, we've actually already done our Love the Beast episode. We're not really interested in having you on the podcast, unless you want to come on and play your classic character, Poiter.
I also think that our references to Love the Beast have basically ended after we watched that episode, after we watched that movie.
Although our love for the Beast carries on. Would you
on.
say that in some ways the monorail in this episode is a beast?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say I call the big one piety.
Yeah. Yeah, you hate that joke.
That joke gets too much love. It's just not very good. It gets too much Eric Love.
I'm just looking at my notes and having a real good time with them. The bit where Homer looks at Bart and says, would you like to be like me when you grow up? The kids could call you Hoju. Mm-hmm. If he renamed himself to Homer Jr. He says that with such sincerity.
Kids can call you Hoju. Dan
Castellaneta is killing it. Everyone is killing it. Homer realizing he could die in the shower in this episode.
Yes.
Where he's, Marge is like, monorails are dangerous. I'm Marge. And he says, well, I could slip over on soap in the shower. And then he jumps up and says, oh my god, I'd be killed.
Say the full quote. I could slip over in the shower. I'm Homer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'd be killed. I feel like this is a thing that happens to me every day. I'm constantly thinking about the ways I could die.
Is it something I find really interesting about the process of getting old is that you do have shocking realizations of, I suppose, things that you've always subconsciously known, but you've never thought about the actual real world affectation of how that would be.
Yeah.
Like, I remember once I was driving home and I was quite tired, and then the next day I was like, hang on a minute, if I'd had a moment of drifting off to sleep and hit someone, I'd be in jail for ages. Fuck!
And someone might die. I mean,
And someone might die.
Yeah.
Or those moments where sometimes I'll be walking around, I'll be walking down the cereal aisle at my local supermarket and just go, hang on a minute, if I died, it would be a long time before anyone found me. Not in the cereal aisle, if I died in my house.
Yeah, I have that realization all the
and
time. We both live alone. It's,
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's those realizations where Homer has the realization he could die in the shower. I'm very familiar with the concept of those sudden horrifying realizations because I have them all the time.
I live right near a very busy road, and sometimes I have to cross that road on foot.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think, I can make it. I just need to, like, move a little quicker than usual. Sometimes I get to the other side of the road and think, if I had, like, tripped up, I would die.
Would it be more correct to say cross the road on feet? Because you have two.
Well, I'm usually hopping. So that's
I see. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that does add to the risk of tripping.
Yeah. And the drivers lean out the window and say, "You're hopping mad.
Yeah.
Fuck quit."
Yep. And then they start throwing tennis balls at you and saying, "You're hopping mad and tripping balls."
Yeah, sure, why not? Oh, man. What a fucking... The scene, Nick.
Yes.
The scene where Homer and Marge are in bed.
Do you mean seen it? That PlayStation
Yeah, that old
2
PlayStation
video game?
Was that a PlayStation 2 video game or was that Xbox?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway.
I feel like it was available on both.
The scene...
I don't think it was an exclusive.
I think it might have been an Xbox exclusive, but we'll brush right past that.
Cool.
The bit where Homer...
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of You Don't Know Jack.
Which was originally on PC and then eventually came to basically every console as part of the Jack Pack Party Collection Pack.
The Jack Pack.
Yeah, the Jack Pack.
Yeah, the Jack Black Jack Pack?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, cool.
The scene where Homer is in bed and he's trying to, like, get Marge in the mood. And he says, "What if I talk like this?"
Yeah.
There's this Facebook group that I became a member of called Simpsons Peaks.
Okay.
And somebody posted a perfect crossover between The Simpsons and Twin Peaks for this moment. And now that I've started explaining this, I've immediately realized, this is not going to be funny for anyone, really, except me, just remembering it. But it's, they replaced Homer with the arm, and the arm saying, "I'm the arm. What if I am the arm and I talk like this?" It's funny. Just take my word for it.
Okay.
He's the arm and he talks like this. He's talking backwards.
Who's the arm?
He's the man from another place. In the return, he's replaced with a tree because the actor lost his mind.
So would I if I was only an arm.
He accused David Lynch of killing Jack Nance.
He has to cross the road on an arm instead of on foot.
That's been Sneaky Peeks for this week.
That's been Sneaky Peeks.
We're like the dreamer. Dreams and then lives inside the dream.
Sneaky Peeks. Mono equals one. Rail equals rail.
Yes.
When I was teaching my my grammar course at university, because I'm a fun, sexy guy, in week 3...
What's the least sexy story about yourself that you've got? I've got one locked and loaded for me.
The least sexy thing about me?
Yeah.
It might be this thing I'm about to say. The first slide of week 3 of my grammar class.
It's a strong start.
My first slide would be that screenshot of him pointing at mono equals one, rail equals rail. Mm-hmm. And then the caption would be, and that concludes our 3-week course.
Very good.
Yeah, nobody ever found it as funny as I did.
That's very good.
But that's fine. It was all for me.
My story is that the first time I ever got hay fever was during a game of competitive chess at school, because on Friday nights I was part of the chess team, and my eyes started weeping uncontrollably from the hay fever, and I didn't really know what was going on because I'd never had hay fever before. And then the person I was playing against, who was incidentally beating me quite badly at the chess game, looked up at me and said, "Oh, it's okay, it's just a game."
Stop crying.
Stop crying everywhere. Lurleen Lumpkin's really taken a hit in this episode.
Yeah, she spent last night in a ditch.
Yeah. Also, possibly an alternate universe Lunch Lady Doris.
Yeah, voiced by the same actress, and we're thinking this was some sort of crossover universal thing.
Yeah, possibly. Remember we used to have that theory all the time about
I
how...
mean, used to.
I feel like I haven't done one of these for a while, but when we noticed characters with similar voices, I decided that instead of simply using the same voice actors, what it actually meant was that we were seeing two different planes of our universe coming together, or multiple universes coming together.
Smashing together.
So folding over each other, and that these characters were appearing in both their iterations at the same time in the one universe, a little bit like the runny gooey parts when you fold an omelette over.
Yeah, the runny gooey parts.
The runny gooey parts.
So you
Hello,
think
my name's Gooey, first name Ronnie. I'm Ronnie Gooey.
So you think there might be some sort of crossover here between...
It might be the omelette-verse. The omelette-verse might be coming back.
I think the omelette-verse never really left. I think it's been ticking over solidly, and I think we've set the heat to low maybe, but I think it's still cooking.
Yep, fair enough.
Yeah, so Marge goes to North Haverbrook, which by gum, Lyle Lanley...
Put on the map.
Yep. By the way, Phil Hartman is amazing in this episode. But anyway,
very
she goes
good.
there. She
Very
meets
good.
Sebastian Cobb.
Very good slimy salesman.
Very good at everything. Just amazing.
Very good at
Sebastian Cobb fucks.
Sure.
A lot of elements of this episode fuck. I'm not sure who's playing Sebastian Cobb. But when he's talking about
That would be impossible for us to find that information. You are right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We only have intranet access here. It's just the websites you like and frequent.
Man, you've just made me think of Netscape Navigator, and I haven't thought about that browser for a long time.
Yeah.
Wow, apparently the word intranet is forever linked with Netscape Navigator in my head.
I had to write the word intranet yesterday in a thing that I was working on. So,
Why?
yeah, intranet on the head.
Intranet on the Head.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the second album by Chumbawamba?
Intranet on the head. The 1997 smash hit.
Tremendous.
Intra Malone as well. That's another reference we can make.
Oh, yeah. Good.
That's, it's, I guess that's like a Post Malone album, but you can only listen to it if you're in his house. I guess would be what Intra...
You can only listen to it when you're already... No, it's an album that you can only listen to when you're at a concert of his.
Now, when
Doesn't matter.
when Sebastian Cobb says...
Sebastian Cobb.
Yeah, that the celebrity on the main voyage of the North Haverbrook Monorail was Gallagher.
Gallagher.
Have you ever listened to the Mark Maron episode about Gallagher? I'm not going to ask who you guys are, don't worry.
Okay.
That's on the list. Where's the list, by the way?
Well, I threw that away.
Why did you throw the list away?
I'm sorry.
You don't throw away anything. There's a bill here that was paid in November 2017. You've got the bank date there.
You know what I've got here? I've got the package of my Christmas present.
From the holiday episode. But you throw out the list I wrote like 5 days ago. Jesus.
I think what that is called... I think that is a concept known as situational blindness, I think. So there's an interesting phenomenon where people in office buildings... so in office buildings, they specifically put fire extinguishers in very prominent places. But because you see them all day, every day, whenever you go into the office, you actually end up being blind to the fact that they're there. Your brain just doesn't bother taking it in anymore.
Yeah.
Turns out, when I was cleaning my house, that bill that's been paid since the 12th of November 2017 has been there for so long that I simply don't see it anymore. Whereas this list that you wrote 5 days ago, I was like, this is unacceptable. I cannot have this rubbish in my house.
That means I'm going to have to listen back to the fucking episode now to remember what was on there.
So sorry. And then what you're going to have to do, to be honest, is put that in a frame. Because if it's in a frame, I won't throw it out. Because I'll assume it's art.
I like the implication there that you can't recognize the difference between art and just a list in a frame.
I can't. Like the fucking, what was the thing the Australian government paid a lot for? Blue Poles by David someone or other. That's just a list of polls, if you ask me.
Sure.
That's one of the weirdest references I'm ever going to make on this show.
But anyway, the Gallagher episode of What the Fuck with Mark Maron. Again, can't ask who his guys are. It was on the list, although the list isn't here anymore, so maybe I can.
Maybe it's a freeform world.
But, yeah, Gallagher's a piece of shit based on that episode. So, Gallagher, you're not welcome on the podcast.
Yeah.
And, leave those watermelons alone.
There's a live episode of Probably Science, a podcast hosted by comedians Andy Wood and Matt Kirshen. A live episode in which they had Peter Serafinowicz. You'd know him from something.
Yeah, he plays the Tick on that TV show, The Tick.
Yeah, sure.
Griffin Newman from the podcast Blank Check as Arthur.
Sure.
I haven't seen it, but I like Blank Check a lot.
Sure.
He also played Darth Maul, I believe.
This is how it feels to be you. The guests on this live episode were Peter Serafinowicz and Gallagher was just spouting all this horrible, weird stuff.
Yeah, he does that.
And Peter Serafinowicz was going, "What the fuck are you talking about, man?" It was really good.
It's weird that they still invite Gallagher to do things.
At one point, Gallagher, I think, said, with no hint of irony, I think he started talking in this episode about how he invented splashing.
What, the concept? The action of splashing?
The action of splashing. Baffling. But anyway,
I'm sure there was some the very early scientist just saw a puddle and he stepped in and jumped. He's like, well, this is fucking great.
You will not enjoy this on the same level as me. I really enjoyed your reaction when the guy said, when Sebastian Cobb said, this special guest was Gallagher. And your reaction was, fuck, take that, Gallagher.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. That's a bit loud. Whatever.
But this episode came out in the early 90s and Gallagher's still allowed to do things. It's weird. People know that Gallagher sucks.
Yeah.
People have always known. So the Monorail, I like the weird little thing about celebrity guests showing up for the Monorail, but it hits a little close to home when they show here's this teen star who's actually 34.
Yeah.
And the 34-year-old, his face creases up into wrinkles when he smiles. Because I'm 30.
Yep.
You're 31.
Yep.
We're nearly 34.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't look anywhere near as good as Sideshow Luke Perry.
No, I don't think my face completely crumples up when I smile, although I smile very rarely, to be fair.
Give us a smile.
No.
Oh.
I mean, you're looking at me like a zoo exhibit.
I was going to give you...
Oi, give me a smile.
I was going to get... Oi, give me a smile. And then you know what you can do with that smile? You can put it on the ass. Our faces are fucking Renaissance artwork.
Yeah, we got faces.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Leonard Nimoy fucks. He's very good.
All right.
The whole thing about nobody giving a shit about who he is or what he does and getting irritated by him is very funny. And basically your reaction to everything and everyone. And
Pretty
so
much.
I can imagine you enjoyed all of the Leonard Nimoy stuff.
I did enjoy the Leonard Nimoy. I'm glad that he was willing to play along with an entire town, a town full of people not really giving a fuck about who he was.
I mean, didn't we just find out on an earlier episode that was originally going to be George Takei?
Oh, yes, we did.
Whatever that episode was. I just edited it the other day. So it's...
that was the Eat My Shorts where we talked about that article.
Shorts.
Eat My Shorts. What the hell happened to my shorts? But, normally, especially recently, the guest appearances have all become so fucking positive and pandering that it's good to see, hey, Leonard Nimoy, do you want to be on this show in which no one will like you and most characters will show active disdain for you?
And you'll just be telling anecdotes about Star Trek that nobody enjoys? Very good. Very, very good. Lyle's running around with literal briefcases full to overflowing of cash, which I enjoy.
That's good. Have you ever held a briefcase full of cash?
Only if I'm going to a drug deal or something like that.
I thought you had a brief stint in which you were one of the models on Deal or No Deal. Am I correct?
I mean, there wasn't actually any cash in those briefcases, though. It's just a number.
Oh, that's a really good point.
And every week they would give me the $1 case, so nobody would ever pick me because they all... Actually, everybody would pick me. That's how that show works, isn't it?
You don't get to see what's in the case until they open it.
I can't watch that show. It makes me too angry. I get so angry at everyone for not stopping earlier.
The thing that annoys me about Deal or No Deal is that, look, I'm not the best at understanding statistics and probability, But what I do know is that everyone who goes on Deal or No Deal, they've all got a system and they're all fucking terrible.
It's always the same system. They just keep playing. That's the system.
But they've always got this ridiculous like, oh well, I've decided I'm only going to pick numbers that are multiples of 3 and factors of 88, and it's like, what? That doesn't help. It doesn't make any sense. And then people,
You might as well just start from 1 and go from there.
or exactly that's what I would do. I would start from 1 and I would go through to 26 or however many they have. Or the thing that drives me completely insane is it'll be something like, you want to knock out the $1 thing because that'll help bump up the average, which means you get a nicer offer.
Yeah.
And instead of bumping out the $1 or whatever it is, you bump out the next one up.
Yeah.
And everyone goes, oh, pretty close. In what world is that pretty close? You have no, like, there's, it's the worst.
See, I would not be entertaining on that show because the moment they were offering me like $4,000, I'm like, yep, I'll take that.
Yeah, because $4,000 would be a genuinely life-changing amount.
Yeah, this is like the poor person in me talking, I suppose. But you know when people are like, they've just been offered like $33,000, but they could win 50, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Well, I came here with nothing,
Yeah.
so I'm happy to lose. I'm happy to leave with nothing." Okay, you
Why?
came with nothing, but you don't have nothing anymore. You've been
$33,000.
like, if somebody walked up to you on the street and was like, "Hey, would you like $33,000, or would you like to roll this fucking dice for a chance to
Yeah.
win more?" You'd say, "Yeah, give me the $33,000. That's crazy. Of course, I'm going to take that money."
Of course you'd take that money.
Yeah.
And then,
Don't keep playing. Like, if you're at the casino, you're not putting $33,000 on black.
that reminds me, should we check how my Bitcoin account's going?
Which cryptocurrency do you have again?
I had 4 or 5. They were all going poorly.
Okay, well, this is Nick's Crypto Corner.
Nick's
You
Crypto
go.
Corner. I'll tell you what I did, though. You're not going to like what I did, Jacob.
I'm not.
Bitcoin crashed so badly that I decided it would be a good time to buy some.
Sure.
So I took all my other bits of crypto.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, my network's just crashed out. Oh fuck! I took all my other bits and pieces because I had some Ethereum. I had a couple of weird coins that were just bullshit. I took all of them, transferred them over to Bitcoin while it was low, and then I may have put in an extra $20 to get Bitcoin while it was low.
Okay.
So, let me see. Ooh.
Well,
okay.
how are your cryptocurrencies going?
My account is worth about $37.
Okay.
Keep in
The
mind,
one that you put $50 into?
so this was originally $50.
Yeah.
It went all the way down to about $14.
Yeah.
Then I added $20 new and used that to buy Bitcoin. So
Okay, fuck.
So from $70 I have $37.
Yeah, okay. That's-
But I mean, it's weird because of that $37. No, it's fucked. Let's have a look at what the.
I mean, that's going to be rough to edit. You just spent like 2 minutes building up to say this and now it's fucked and stopped.
Sorry. Who cares? Leave it in. It looks like Bitcoin has been very slowly climbing over the last week. So, I don't know. Maybe one day I'll get some of that money back. I don't know.
Can we pause for a moment so I can check this voicemail I've just received?
Yeah, of course. Sorry, I muted the microphone for the phone call,
That's probably wise.
and then I thought,
Yeah, I came back on and explained that I think somebody's been trying to scam me. That's fine.
is it Alex Goldman?
Man, you think Alex Goldman's trying to get his revenge?
Imagine that. That'd be great.
Alex Goldman, if you are trying to scam me, that's a perfectly valid way of trying to get in contact with me. I'm just glad that you're reaching out, you know? Anyway, the line when Marge and Sebastian Cobb arrive back in town, and Cobb says, "I shouldn't have stopped for that haircut. Sorry." Has there ever been a better joke than that in any piece of media in history?
Hang on. Let me think of all jokes in media history.
I've just moved on to my 4th page of 4, so we're approaching the end of Marge versus the Monorail.
No, I reckon that's the best joke.
The absolute best one?
I reckon that's the absolute best joke.
Good point, Nick. I agree with you. Thank you for making that point. I miss the Quimby-Wiggum rivalry that used to be a part of the show.
Yeah, that did used to be a recurring thing.
Yeah,
wasn't
it
it?
used to be a bit of a thing. Then butting heads. It's in this
Oh.
episode. It's just
Hang on a
another
second.
little side plot.
Hang on a second, I've got 2 notes. 2 notes that we need to catch up to.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Actually, yes, 2 notes we need to catch up to. Firstly, on the monorail, when they're having the opening night party,
Yep.
there's a framed picture of the Hindenburg in
Yes, there
flames
is.
and crashing. And
That's on the monorail itself.
on the monorail itself, and I really enjoy that. That is a very good choice of picture to have. Secondly, the monorail. So when
Is this going to be about the Selden break?
no,
Okay.
I like the Selden break, but not enough to mention it.
Sure.
When the monorail speeds up and goes out of control, the sign that says Springfield Monorail peels off and reveals a 1964 World Fair sign.
Yep.
So I thought, was there a monorail at the 1964 World Fair? There was. It was in New York. There was a monorail. But the monorail was not riding on a track. It was suspended below the track.
Below the track.
It was, like the track was hanging out and then the thing was hanging off below it, kind of like a ski lift, but like a monorail version. So I don't know how they converted all these carriages and the engine to be upside down from what they were. There was a monorail overhead suspension, and the 1964 World Fair was in New York.
Do you remember on episode 66 of The Simpsons Index when Elliot made us watch that episode where they shut down the monorail and killed Sebastian Cobb?
Oh, wait, when the monorail came back to life.
Yeah, one unpleasant episode that was.
Yeah.
Elliot, you shouldn't have made us watch that.
I mean, it was a good episode of the Simpsons Index. It just wasn't a very good episode of The Simpsons.
Exactly.
Anyway, hey, speaking of things that are really enjoyable,
The Cosmic Ballet goes on.
have you ever been to a ballet performance?
Like a cosmic one or just a regular one?
Just a cosmic girl from another ballet. No, I like a real ballet. Like
Oh, you mean like the bear in the car? Going
Yeah,
around?
yeah, the bear in the car.
I've seen the bear in the car, sure.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Was that preceding Swan Lake or the Nutcracker? The only 2 ballets that I know.
I've seen a comedic parody of Swan Lake. Does that count?
What?
It was by Elf Lions. It was very good.
Elf Lions.
Elf Lions, if you're out there, I really enjoyed your show. Feel free to come on the podcast anytime.
All right.
The problem is that you're much funnier than either of us, frankly, and that could be, maybe people would stop listening when you weren't on there anymore.
Well, they'd go listen.
There's actually a long list of people
they'd
if we
go-
ever had on it
they'd
on
go
the
listen,
podcast.
They'd go listen to the Elfcast.
Yeah, does she have a podcast? Why am I asking you? You hadn't even heard of her until a moment ago.
Nope.
She's funny though. She's good. Elf Lions, if you're out there, I enjoy you, and I think Nick would like you. I think you would.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lyle Lanley arrives in North Haverbrook, and when the people look at the plane and say, "There he is, seat 3F,"
Yep.
this is part of the ongoing thing about nobody who works on The Simpsons knowing how planes work.
Sure.
I think.
Yes.
But used to great comedic effect instead of just being a weird thing that doesn't make sense.
Excellent comedic effect.
Yes. And then the rest of my notes get a little wild. I've got...
Can I say something about North Haverbrook?
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed this, but there's a nice bit of what I'm going to phrase as synchronicity.
Synchronicity.
The North. The North Haverbrook runway is as pockmarked and destroyed as Springfield's Main Street.
Ooh, that is nice. I
That
didn't
is
notice
nice,
that. I
isn't
was too busy making my little notes in my little notebook here.
Tonight's the first time I've noticed it, but the North Haverbrook runway is fucked.
It's fucked, and this fucks.
Sure.
Now, my notes from here get a little crazy. The next one is just, it's not Batman, which is a reference to a line in this episode.
Yes.
And then fuck underlined. And then, how did they do this? And then fuck again.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand how they've made something this good. How anyone could ever make something this good. Everything I have ever done cumulatively, if you take everything I've ever achieved and you boiled it down to a single finite achievement that represents the totality of everything I've ever done, and you held it up against this episode, it could not match up to 30 fucking seconds of it.
No.
No.
Because 30 fucking seconds of this episode would, according to your theory, have at least 6 jokes. And I'm not sure that you've done 6 jokes in your entire life.
I'm trying.
Is that harsh?
I'm up to 4.
I love you, man.
So Homer builds an anchor out of the W.
I find
the M on the monorail.
the M on the monorail. I
the
find
what?
it extraordinary
Yeah.
that apparently the logo on the side of the monorail is made from like what appear to be solid cast iron bolted on shapes.
Yes.
Why weren't they just painted on?
I mean, yeah, that would make more sense, but I
right.
guess they need the anchor.
I guess so, yeah.
You call that an anchor? So he makes the anchor, he throws it out the window, and then
Captain Kevin McAllister there.
the anchor starts dragging along the ground, and I suddenly remembered the joke about the conjoined twins and started preemptively laughing.
Very good.
I turned to you and explained why I was laughing, and then it happens, and it's the funniest, stupidest shit in the world, and I love it. It's the best.
It's very funny and stupid.
And then the episode ends with an escalator nowhere and a bunch of people going up and dying. This is the best thing.
The thing I love about the escalator to nowhere, my phone's just making all kinds of noises.
You need to get a new phone, Nick.
The thing I love about the escalator to nowhere is that we see three people riding up it, and they have a perfect comic spacing between the second and the third.
Yeah, and they're all designed up to Simpsons writers, I think.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we see that one guy pop up over and over again.
Because the first two that fall off the escalator happen quite quickly, and then there's a solid 2 or 3 seconds before the third, and that is how you do comedy.
And the very last noise we hear in the episode is like a comical, like, yipping noise. Like, yip!
Yeah.
Oh my god. So, good episode. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life.
And now, Season 4, Episode 13, Selma's Choice, except we've been recording for an hour, so we're out of time. Thanks, everybody. Tune in next week for more pods.
We'll run through this. It's good. It's a good episode. Do you want to, or do you want to...
I don't know. I thought it'd be funny to do a fake ending sting, but you didn't join in, so...
I wrote 2 pages of notes.
Oh, you've written so many... I wrote 2 pages across these 2 episodes.
Okay, so here's the thing. Selma's Choice is a good episode. I think the last 10 minutes of this episode are outstanding.
Sure.
I think the first 10's a little shaky.
Sure.
And I think we can probably rush through a lot of that.
All right.
So this is the episode where Selma's like, maybe I want to have kids. And then she looks up to Bud and Lisa and says, Is that an accurate description, would you say?
You haven't done the full quotes.
Okay, let me go again.
Yep.
So she says, I'm Selma. I want to have kids.
Better.
Because my great aunt's dead, baby. So she looks after Bud and Lisa, and they're
better.
like, I'm Bud, I'm a troublemaker. I'm Lisa, I'm a goody two-shoes, and I'm going to drink this water. And she says, I'm still Selma, now I don't want to have kids, so I got a lizard. Baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Right, I'm glad you bothered. I'm glad you finally came to the fucking party, James.
So it opens with Lance Murdoch saying, I'm Lance Murdoch. I'm on my bike.
So the Duff Gardens ad is baffling.
Yeah.
So it starts with Lance Murdoch, and we don't realise it's an ad at first.
Yeah.
But we see him jump through this big
Fire.
flames, miss
Pardon me.
the exit. Jesus, that's a big waveform.
I really like sneezing. I really lean into my sneezes.
Are you a scream sneezer? Because Karen's not going to like you.
I think I might be.
Oh.
It's the one place you get to be, like, unabashedly
Rambunctious?
enthusiastic.
Oh, damn.
In any situation.
I really wanted the phrase to be unabashedly rambunctious because it's so many syllables. So the ad for Duff Gardens...
Enthusiastic is more than rambunctious.
In
terms of syllables. Rambunctious is just a good word.
It's a very good word. So Lance Murdoch misses the exit as he jumps the thing, and so he crashes into the wall and presumably dies. And then we find out it's part of an ad for Duff Gardens. Was the brief for this ad that Lance Murdoch has to nearly die?
Lance Murdoch must die.
Or is that an accident that happened during filming? Because we then see something else in the ad where they show something horrible. Oh, when he falls off the roller coaster that's not yet complete.
Yeah.
Was this ad filmed in one take? Because ads tend to be not done that way.
Yeah, put out a little hot take here. I don't think the ad is that funny. I think it might be because we've just watched Marge vs. the Monorail, which I don't know if I've said this on the podcast, but I think that's a really good episode. But
Right.
I think the joke... I think the washing machine, that one right he goes in, is literally just a washing machine, is pretty good. But like the fish in the beer tank, that's no good.
No, that's not good.
The roller coaster that isn't built yet is a little too silly for my taste.
Little too silly. And also, especially if you're watching it consecutively like this, we've just seen the elevators to nowhere, which is the same joke but better.
Yeah. Took a midnight elevator, led nowhere. Would you go to Duff Gardens? Do you think this is your kind of place?
I would go, but I'd be disappointed because Duff is a lager and I prefer ales.
Okay. I feel like they'd have a variety of beers there.
Really?
I think so.
I hope so.
There's some sort of implication that Duff is a brewery with many different brands.
Yeah, but don't we see in that one episode that they all come out of the same faucet?
I don't know. We're drinking... Okay, if you said you were going to have a Cooper's, you would think Cooper's Pale, which is what we're drinking right now.
Yes.
But in actual fact, Cooper's has a session ale, they've got a sparkling ale, they've got a brown, they've got a stout, they've got a celebration ale.
Yeah. Man, I'd forgotten about Celebration Ale. That was my jam for a while.
Yeah, it's not as good as the Pale, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Celebration Ale is stronger, both in terms of flavour and in terms of percentage.
But if you're going to do that, just go for the sparkling, I think.
Sparkling knocks me on my ass.
Yes, it does.
Fuck. I mean, sparkling is like Cooper's Brewery Sparkling Ale. I think Adelol did the tasting notes for that once, and it was, do you need to drive this week? No, have a sparkling ale.
It's 1.7 standard drinks.
And it's also got big bubbles in it, and big bubbles get you drunk faster. than
Big
small
bubbles.
Yeah, right.
Big bubbles. Talk about alcoholism. No, I'm not doing a good parody here. So Gladys dies. Gladys, who was one of our favourite characters. Mm-hmm. Right? So she's dead. And they all have to go to the funeral. And I'd forgotten how much of the start of this episode is just a road trip to a funeral.
Yeah,
Like a significant portion of the episode is just them driving to this funeral. And it's a bit weird. This is a bit of a weird episode at the start. There's some jokes that have not aged particularly well.
There's the funeral director.
Yeah.
Which, when he's reading the speech and he is using he and him pronouns and is then corrected by a whispering person and he says, oh my god, that's a woman.
Yeah.
Not a very woke wake. Thanks.
Oh.
Thanks.
Oh.
Thanks. All right.
That is the end of podcasting.
Triumphantly cross this note off.
You keep turning the book away when I'm trying to look at it. Like you're just trying to...
Sorry, what I was trying to
You're
do...
doing it again.
What I was trying to do, James, I was trying to get it close to the microphone so I could cross it out nicely. Not a very woke wake.
Okay, very good. As I've said before on this podcast being Pods in the Key of Springfield, don't forget to subscribe and rate. A thing I don't like so much is all the jokes about, like, Patty and Selma, like, aren't, like, that feminine and thus they're disgusting. And I feel like there's a lot of that shit in The Simpsons throughout its entire run. It's not very good.
Not very good.
And there's a bit of that in here. Selma does get to be more of a character, but it's still,
Well, when you say more of a character, do you mean like, oh, he's a little character?
Oh, look at this little character.
Look at this little character. Or do you mean like a character in
like a Tennessee Williams character.
a Tennessee Williams character?
Yeah.
You're right. She should eat some cat food.
What?
Purina. We talked about that the other day, remember?
Yeah, okay. Sorry, that was a bit of a long bow to draw. I had to make the mental connections.
It was. You had to recall the very specific conversation about a scene in Glass Menagerie.
Yeah. So, so what have I got here? Gladys has the Robert Frost poem, The Road Less Travelled.
Yes.
On her video wake, or
video
will.
Is that the one that ends in, I have promises to keep and many miles to go before I sleep?
Is it? No, I think that's a different one.
I think that's
no, this is the one that's like, I took the road less travelled and that has made all the difference. The one that, people think means you should take the less travelled option, but actually means, no, don't do that.
Isn't it great when people completely misunderstand pop culture?
Yeah, it's almost like you shouldn't base, your entire thought processes on, like, aphorisms you picked up from poetry you didn't understand.
Oh, my favourite example of that, and fuck, this might be another Robert Frost example.
Sure. Hey, Frosty, you want some snow? Anyway, carry on.
There's a poem I remember looking at one point that it kept coming back to the refrain, good fences make good neighbours.
Ah, yes.
And it was I think it's Robert Frost, but it was, the wider theme in this one was talking about how by segmenting ourselves off, we are becoming more fragmented as a society and becoming less willing to help our fellow man.
Yeah.
Good fences make good neighbours. This is my bit of land, that is your bit of land. We can't help each other or try to use the land to its best abilities because good fences make good neighbours.
Yeah.
And then Stratco, a fencing company in South Australia, started using the line, good fences make good neighbours, to sell their fucking fences.
Stratco, you're on notice.
You're on notice.
You've been nicked. Nobody's safe.
Nobody's safe from the pointless outbursts of anger of this moron.
Wouldn't go that hard. So, look, Lionel Hutz alters Gladys's will to try to indicate that she left him a bunch of money. Now, Nick, you work in law. Have you ever done this?
No, I have not ever edited a will to try and get some money.
You've got a gulp tea on your page, and you're just tracing around it. What are you doing?
I'm just peacefully tracing around a golf tee. What's wrong? It's tea time.
It's 4:06 in the afternoon.
Perfect. It's always time for tea. No, but interestingly, fairly recently, within the last kind of 3 or 4 years, the Supreme Court of South Australia had a case where someone actually did a video will, and they upheld it as being legal.
Okay.
Because there was a bit of a question about that, because...
Is that not a thing you can do, typically?
It was a grey area because it hadn't been tested in this specific state before.
Okay.
And there's a bit of a question about... when you need to talk about the document and whether the document met certain requirements.
Are you talking about the R.E.M. album document, or...?
No, I am not. Okay. I'm talking about under the Wills Act of 1936, I think. A will needs 2 independent witnesses to it. And
like Michael Stipe and one of the other guys from R.E.M.? I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought that would be a fun joke. But the amount of laughter I'm receiving indicates that maybe it was.
Oh, Stipe will be stoked for the shout out. So there were a couple of
Peter Buck, that's another guy in R.E.M. Sorry,
sure.
Go on.
Yeah, big Peter Buck hunter. There are one of my favourite video games to play in an arcade. So there are a couple of questions about whether or not a video will would be approved. It was. Also, one of the weirdest wills that was approved in South Australia, someone had painted a message on a wall.
Okay.
And that was admitted.
It wasn't like, I'll be back or something like that? Or?
No, it was...
It's like, you know how sometimes in a video game, like, you walk like through a facility and people have just written shit all over the walls? It wasn't like that.
The cake is a lie.
Yeah, beware Columbus, all that.
Do you remember when that became a meme? The cake being a lie?
Nick, that was... I mean, I couldn't get away from it for a while. It fucking haunted me.
It was so tedious.
And then people in real life would say it to me, I'm like, shut the fuck up, buddy. You see me clenching a fist here. I mean, I'm not a violent person, but... I don't care.
I remember being at uni and saying to someone, I think I might go get a piece of cake from the canteen.
Don't even finish this story.
And they responded with, but the cake is a lie.
Is it that one guy that it might have been?
No, it wasn't that guy.
Because there was a guy that you knew at uni who we shouldn't get into that.
Who it very easily could have been.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. Right, you're on notice, everyone I went to uni with.
This episode, Selma decides she wants to start dating and have a kid. So she goes to Low Expectations Dating Service. Now, I feel like if that existed, I'd be a good candidate for Low Expectations Dating Service.
Low Expectations
I think
dating
going on a
service.
date with me having low expectations is probably wise.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
What would you say? Anything else?
I once went on a date with Great Expectations in my bag because it was a book that I had just bought by Jane Austen.
Okay.
Great Expectations.
Hello everyone, Editor James here, the 8th member of Pods in the Key of Springfield, I think. Just want to jump in and note that Great Expectations was not written by Jane Austen. It was, in fact, written by Charles Dickens. I should have picked up on that during the recording, especially considering that I have actually read parts of Great Expectations and promptly forgot all about its existence, so that's on me. Although, I'm the editor, I could just say it's Nick's fault, because it kind of is. I mean, it's his fault. It's Nick's fault. Nick fucked up. Okay. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
I once bought a book that Jane Austen wrote.
Nick, you never bought Great Expectations. Come on.
I once bought a book that Jane Austen wrote about spitting called Great Expectorations.
I don't believe you've ever bought a book.
I once bought a book about omelettes called Great Expectations.
Now that I believe.
Yeah.
It would have been a cookbook about eggs, with also some universal theories
by Jane Omelettes.
Jane omelets. That's good enough.
Pods in the Key of Springfield. That's good enough. I like that she goes to see. What is it? Is Princess Penelope? I don't remember her name.
What?
The woman that has all the hexes and potions.
Yep.
Whatever her name is. And she talks about the love potion, and she puts a drop on her tongue, and then she says, "Oh, it's mostly just corn syrup. You'll be lucky if it doesn't
Make your hair fall out.
Make your hair fall out." And then she turns the bottle around and turns out that she accidentally consumed the truth serum. I've always liked the George Orwellian 1984 doublethink that's going on in this joke, because the joke is that these potions don't work, but for that joke to be built, they have to make the potion work, James.
Yeah, it's very strange.
It's very, very strange when you break that
Because it means
joke
she
down.
has just one very good serum, and it's her undoing.
Or, yeah. That must be it. But then it's almost as though... Does the truth serum accidentally work? And she's not actually planned on it working. And all the others, she knows they're all hoaxes. But for some reason, this batch
This is the one legitimate serum she has.
the one legitimate serum, of which she may or may not have been aware of that. But if she can build a genuine truth serum, why is she not also building genuine love potions?
I don't know. I mean, truth and love. Really, Nick? Are they not very different? Is there not... doesn't loving someone require lying to them quite extensively?
I reckon Truth and Love was the first draft.
Have I been wrong about love this whole time?
Possibly. It's a pretty hot take.
Speaking of which...
I reckon Truth and Love was the first draft of Macy's Playground Sex and Candy. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Speaking of which, now Nick, some time ago I added, that I really hate yo-yos to my Tinder profile.
Oh, how'd that go?
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of comments about it, but I'm wondering, should I also add the phrase... You're looking at a free lunch, come and get it.
I wouldn't.
No.
I would not add that phrase.
I've already got the photo with all the cigarettes on my tongue.
Oh, that's true. You do that. But one thing I'd like to know about the I really hate yo-yos.
Yep.
Are people picking it as a Simpsons reference? Or are they saying, what do you have against yo-yos?
Universally, people asking what I have against yo-yos.
Universally.
Yeah, a lot of women have asked me, what the fuck is your problem with yo-yos,
I didn't
bro?
realize you were at Universal Studios.
I actually have I been to Universal? No, I've been to Warner Brothers Studios.
Oh.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, cool.
It was fun. It was good.
Is that where the Animaniacs are held?
Yeah.
In the water tower?
You could just hear them nodding, oh, boss! I saw the water tower. And,
Is there a genuine water? And then because you'd just been playing Just Cause 2, you got out your sniper rifle, 2 bullets, and you shot it and flooded the town.
deep cut Just Cause 2 reference there.
Sure.
The band Hooray for Everything pops up in this episode. Keep dancing. I feel like this is only the second time they've popped up. I don't know if they pop up again.
Yeah, no, I reckon you're right.
So you got these weird little fringe characters just off having their little adventures inside the world of The Simpsons.
Speaking of weird little fringe characters, Dolph. He's got a weird fringe and he's a little character.
Oh, okay, yes.
After Hooray for Everything, the ad keeps going on in the background, and they show a ride called the Contusion.
Yes.
Did you pay attention to that?
I saw the Contusion.
It is a Newton's cradle. One of those things with the silver balls that clack into each other and swing out side to side.
Clack.
But it is a Newton's cradle that operates through people's skulls.
Yeah.
Or like live people with their heads strapped into this cradle, and they're just banging away at their heads.
Yeah, it's like the human centipede of rides. It's brutal.
Not sure that that's the case. Not sure that
You think I went in too hard there?
I'd say it's like a Newton's cradle that's powered by heads.
There's a lot of jokes about cum in this episode. In that Selma goes to a sperm bank, or as I like to call it, the cum bank. And a bit weird that the cum bank has a catalogue of like dudes you can flick through. I'm like, I want that guy's cum.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if that's how it works.
Seems unlikely. From what I've heard anecdotally, sperm donation is a bit of a nightmare. Like, there's a lot of, it's not you just go in there and give them your semen and, leave and everything's fine. Like, I think there's a lot of tests involved. They really, vet you for the quality of your expulsion.
Like geography tests? Like, you need to be able to point out
You need to be able to identify a lot of capital cities.
where's Dandenong?
You need to know the difference between, what are the different cloud types? There's, cumulus.
Oh, there's cumulonimbus. There's stratus.
Yep, sure.
Can we talk about rock types? I'm much better at those.
I don't think so.
There's igneous, there's sedimentary, and there's the third one.
Can we talk about rock types? I'm much better at that in that I know 2 out of the 3.
Okay, igneous, they're the volcanic ones because they're created by fire.
Yep, Ignatius, sure. Main character of the Confederacy of Dancers.
There are sedimentary, which are the ones from the bottom of the ocean.
Yep, sedimentary, my dear Watson, got it.
And then there's the third one, which are meant to be, like, they're not called fossils, because they're separate. God, I'm an idiot. Why did I bring up rocks?
Well, you know, as far as I'm concerned, the third rock has always been Earth itself.
From the sun?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Starring John Lithgow.
Yeah, that was an okay show.
Yeah. Wait a minute, you've seen it and enjoyed it?
Oh, yeah, it used to be on free-to-air a lot, and I used to watch it every now and then.
Okay. What are you Googling right now? Third kind of rock?
Metamorphic rocks.
Metamorphic.
The hell happened to my metamorph?
I feel like this episode, Selma has a ham radio, and I feel like this episode is responsible for the fact that we still know what a ham radio is.
I've got some interesting notes to say about that.
Do you?
The term ham was first a pejorative term used in professional wired telegraphy during the 19th century.
Oh, good.
To mock operators that had poor Morse code sending skills, i.e. ham-fisted.
Ooh.
The term continued to be used after the invention of radio, and it became a term used for amateur radio, but not as a play on amateur. It was a play on ham-fisted as people that did Morse code badly.
Amateur.
Amateur. And then by the mid-20th century, it has lost its pejorative meaning because people kept using it. But what I would tell you, James, is that when I was a child and I saw this episode and
Just a little boy.
and they said ham radio, I thought it was a ham radio in the sense that a potato clock is powered by a potato. I thought that this was a radio powered by ham, James. I was very
That's
confused.
good. I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. What would a radio powered by ham, how would that work? What would it sound like? Who would you be able to talk to, do you think? Would it just be like it would connect you to like barnyards or...
Porky Pig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jumped right into that. I'm like, do I know how to do a Porky Pig impression? Well, you're doing one right now. So
doing one right now.
Keep riding the wave.
You could put your pants back on, though.
I don't think I'm going to. But my shirt's kind of chafing me. I take that off. See, I made that joke last episode and then I forgot about it.
Oh, yeah.
I take my pants, throw them away.
Fuck. Here's my theory.
Yep.
Because we see that Bart dares Lisa to drink the water. Lisa drinks the water. Lisa starts going crazy.
At Duff Gardens, yep.
At Duff Gardens. Starts going crazy in a tunnel on a boat surrounded by stuff. Here's my theory. Did Willy Wonka drink the water in the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? You know when they're in the tunnel going through the boat and he starts doing the crazy, there's no way of knowing in which direction we are going. Is it raining? Is it snowing? Is a hurricane blowing?
Sure.
And then like the crazy footage of like the chicken being decapitated. Is that all being decaffeinated?
Come with me and you'll see.
We're not talking about the sperm bank anymore.
Jesus Christ.
So I think Willy Wonka drank the water. And then I think Peter Piper picked the Peter Peppers.
Yeah, Willy Wonka drank the water riding on a pony, etc. I gotta... Now that's...
Robbed a chicken of its hat and then did a big cummeroni.
Have you ever been to Disneyland?
No.
Okay, well, have you ever been... You obviously haven't been on the It's a Small World ride.
No, I have not.
I have been on the...
Wouldn't it be weird if my answer was yes?
I've been on the It's a Small World ride at Disneyland in Anaheim, and let me tell you, you lose your mind on that ride.
Really?
It is far too long and pretty boring.
Ah.
I've got videos I could show you, but we're on a podcast right now. It doesn't seem worth it.
They pump the air full of hallucinogens.
Yeah, you go on this boat and they send you on their way and everyone's like, it's a small world. This is the song. I don't remember how it goes.
It's a small world after all.
It's a small world after all.
It's a small world after all.
So you go on there and it gets weird and
where'd the bear come from? Fucking hell. It's a small world after all. That bear just tore Jimmy's face off.
Yeah. Not a good ride, but you kind of like, it goes on for such a long time that your mind starts to break at a certain point. It's like, I've had enough of this song and these little children. And I can understand why you would drink the water.
Yeah.
Why you would lean into it. I don't know what was in this water. Why the water's full of hallucinogens and, madness powder, but...
Madness powder.
Now, the whole reason that Selma is taking the kids to
yes.
to Duff Gardens, of course,
Yes,
is that
yes,
Homer
yes.
cannot stop eating a big sandwich.
Yes.
Extremely relatable content. I feel like the sandwich is a vital character in this episode in many ways. For this episode, just by itself, it's like the 9th member of The Simpsons.
I see. It's making a brief cameo.
After the original 5, the town of Springfield itself, which I consider to be an original character, Mr. Burns, Patty and Selma, who I consider to be one character. At this point in the show, eventually they'll become their own people.
Interesting.
Actually, that's not true. I just realized that I hadn't counted both of them when I said 9, and I tried to, and then I now am realizing that I have to take back what I originally said.
I reckon this explanation can stop.
Okay.
I'm not sure if anyone's keeping count.
So the sandwich is good. The joke about finding it behind a radiator is very good. Homer being very sick in this episode and missing out on Duff Gardens is what I think about any time I have, like, anything I'm looking forward to coming up.
Oh, you think you're going to do a Hoju?
I'm just constantly thinking, what if I just get very sick? Like, just yesterday I booked tickets to see some members of the cast of Twin Peaks give a little presentation in late August.
Interesting.
And already I'm thinking, God, I hope I'm well for that.
Right.
And I don't get sick very often. I've been sick maybe once in the last 2 years. It's still every time.
Hang on, weren't you sick 3 weeks ago on this recording?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the time.
Oh, that was the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So,
I feel like I haven't been healthy for about 4 years. I feel like I've been running at about 60% capacity for a long time.
yeah, I feel like you've said that. I mean, at this point, I feel like 60% capacity is just normal. So, I don't count that as being sick. I'm just always tired.
Is that what adulthood feels like?
I think it's what modern adulthood feels like, when none of us are quite making enough money and we're all working too hard, and the rental market is we have such constant stresses.
Yeah.
And if we have any older listeners, it's your generation's fault.
If we have any,
You might be an okay person, but you kind of fucked us.
If we had any older listeners, why? Anyway.
Speaking of which, 22 immigrant laborers died in the creation of some sort of giant beer pyramid, and
The aluminium can pyramid.
yes.
Yeah, that's not great.
No, it's
And
unfortunate.
and then Lisa develops synesthesia.
Yeah, sure.
She can
She can see the rainbow?
she can see the music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. I was going to say she's eating a bunch of Skittles, but she's seeing music. I mean, she might have still eaten Skittles. They make you taste the rainbow.
There's 37 minutes until the shop shuts. I'm pretty keen to get some Skittles.
Okay.
I haven't had Skittles for a long time.
I don't know if you're missing that much.
Yeah, maybe not.
Now, the Seven Duffs, back in the day, after season 6 was on Australian TV, they released these trading cards with Australia. They were the Bart versus Australia trading cards,
Sure.
and you could go and collect them in the little, blind booster packs.
Yeah.
And I had quite a few of them. And they had these, like, limited edition special cards that were based on the Seven Duffs. I don't know why. They had nothing to do with this episode, but I had one of the Seven Duffs. I think they were, like, a limited production number. They had, like, the number on there of how many of those cards were made. And I think about that sometimes. I think I've looked it up on eBay, and it's worth nothing.
Right.
But I had that card, and I was very fond of it.
Yeah, right.
And it was, like, in the shape of the little Duff guy as well.
You had that card right up until the time we were doing production on our Reply All homage episode, and then Michael Irving punched you in the face, took the card,
Oh.
and that's how his collection's so big. We're on to you, Michael.
Oh, Michael.
I don't know. I'm very tired. This episode is the longest recording that we've ever done, and turns out I'm not sure I could get through it.
I'm rapping AB, and I'm here to say, if you want to drink beer, Duff's the only way. Is this the start of the I'm so-and-so and I'm here to say, or is that just the standard? No,
It's not the start of that. For a start, we saw Homer do it 3 episodes ago.
that's true.
But also...
Then is it the start of the South Australian food tradition of the AB? Because he says I'm rapping AB.
Possibly.
Let's not get into that too much.
Yeah, okay.
guess.
No, okay. I was going to talk about how in other states it's called a HSP and that comes with chili sauce and is better.
Yeah, it's excellent because over here we have the worst name imaginable, the AB, which stands for the abortion, and then in other states they call it the halal snack pack, the coolest, most politically correct name imaginable.
Yeah.
It's ludicrous.
I've actually never believed the story about how it's called AB because of an abortion.
No?
No. I don't know why. I just think that is a retrofitted story.
I've always just taken it as its word.
I don't
as
know.
the thing that it is.
I guess because I don't know why. I like to think that at some point, Euros meat was like option A, chips were option B, or you could get them both and call it the AB. To me, I think it's much more likely to be that than it is to be this
the most horrific possible
the
naming
most
convention.
Yeah, the most willfully offensive naming convention of all time.
Would you like me to rush through the rest of my notes very quickly since we are going very long?
Yes, and then I'll have a coffee and a Panadol.
Okay, so what have I got here? The beer goggles the bar puts on.
A paracetamol. Sorry, I didn't mean to advertise one brand over another.
Okay, well, good. Or the Panadol, if you are listening, we are looking for funding and sponsors.
Imagine if after this episode we get sponsored by GlaxoSmithKline, the makers of Panadol, and by Samsung, because I've mentioned the Galaxy S9 Plus 4 times.
Samsung, if you'd like to send me a Galaxy S4 Plus as well, so we can...
S9 Plus?
I'm happy with the 4.
No, you're not. It's like 8 years old. You fucking monster. Do you reckon
You went
unboxing...
with Monster?
Do you reckon unboxing podcasts are going to become a thing?
Sure, you can unbox your phone while I just read off the rest of my notes.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned a few episodes ago that Troy McClure mentions the erotic adventures of Hercules, and this is the first time we actually get to see one of these films he mentions offhand, and we get to see it in this one. I like that Marge rents porn. To me, that's good.
It is good that Marge rents porn, because it fits in very nicely with your thing that you are constantly happy that we see Marge has an active sex life.
Yes. What else have I got here? Selma making Lisa drink the water always confused me as a child, but now it just kind of makes sense to me. Because she doesn't know what else to do.
Because it's the quickest way to stop the argument.
Lisa losing her mind is my shit. Yardley Smith is really good. I don't know what was in that water. The last 10 minutes of this episode totally rule. It turns into a very good episode after a shaky start, I think.
Is there any scope for Colossus shenanigans?
Colossus shenanigans?
In the water?
Ooh, you think he's...
Could Colossus have done some tinkering with the water?
I don't know if this is a Colossus thing.
No? Okay. I
don't know.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to twist your arm.
I mean, Colossus is always on my mind and in my heart. I don't know if it's a Colossus water, though.
Is that a reference to a song?
It was, actually. Kind of. You're the reason in my life, you're the inspiration. I feel like I had that song playing in my head as I was saying it.
You're the voice, try to understand it.
Yeah. What else have I got here? Homocles cares not for beans. That's good.
Yes. Oh, I've said that phrase a lot
Yes, you
without
have.
the context. Often when people are asking me to undertake some kind of menial task, and you know, James, I don't like menial tasks.
That's true.
Homocles cares not for beans tends to be my... Wow, the S9's a lot taller than I expected it to be. Look at that compared to the S7.
Yeah, that's a handsome phone you've got there.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And my last note is that seems a little rushed that Selma just decides that she can't have kids because Bart and Lisa are a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, is it not pretty well established that Bart and Lisa are atypically nightmarish?
Yeah, they're tiny terrors or toothy terrors, toothpastey terrors.
Toothpastey terror. Oh, wait, are you saying that Bart and Lisa are part of Colossus's grand... Dr. Colossus' terrible time?
Frankly, I don't think I have time to make that assertion at this point.
I see.
I see.
Alright.
Did you have any other notes about Selma's choice, in which Selma has a choice?
I've just unboxed my phone.
Yep.
It looks quite good, and I have absolutely no energy to set it up. So
Okay.
I'll do that later, not on a podcast record.
Are you sure you don't want to do an Eat My Shorts about you setting up your phone?
Listen,
now it's saying that I need to enter my date of birth, so I'm just going to do that.
and I'll read it out loud, because that's how I do things.
By my calculations.
No, I'm not going to do any of those things. I have no more notes on this one.
Good episode. Not as good as Marge vs. the Monorail, though.
I would have to agree.
Nothing that has ever been made is.
You know, we because when we were doing Marge versus the Monorail, I sorry, when we were watching it, I said we could almost do that as a standalone episode like we do for the Treehouse of Horrors. Given that this has been an hour and 35 minutes, so at least on the recording time it may have been edited down a bit by this point, we probably could have done that, to be honest.
Yeah, I seriously considered it.
Yeah, but anyway, we're here now. Thanks for anyone that got all the way through to this point. Send us a tweet. Let us know if you've actually managed to get through to the end of this episode.
Yeah, sure.
And we'll see you next time on Pods
In the Key.
of
Springfield. Pods in the Key of Springfield at gmail.com. Thanks to Marigold Bartlett for our cover art. We're on Twitter and all the other places. Woozle Wuzzle.
I'm the Lizard Queen!
Bye.
For once I had a line locked and loaded. It had to be that one. Of course it did.
Very good.
I need another coffee.
In Springfield.
So, I'm currently... The recording table is a little messier than normal. I want to talk briefly about the brain snap I had, which resulted in me having this, which is a box that has the Samsung Galaxy S9 in it.
Nick, are you about to do some sort of marketing bit?
No.
You're holding that phone up like...
Yeah, like a fine bottle of wine.
Yeah.
No, so the other day, I sat down, I was at my computer, and I thought, I reckon I've had my current phone for about 2 years. I wonder if I can upgrade. I wonder if my 2-year contract has ended.
Sure, yeah.
So I checked, and within moments of checking, I had changed my plan and ordered that new phone, the S9 Plus.
Okay.
Which is weird, because I normally do quite a bit of research before I get a phone. And it arrived 4 or 5 days ago. And as soon as I took it out the box, my first thought was, I cannot be bothered with the process of setting up a new phone. And I'm not sure when I'm going to get to that, to be honest.
Or if. Knowing you.
Real chance that I'm just not going to. And by the time the S13 comes out, I'll have finally started using my S9.
Yeah, you'll be listening to our podcast on your podcatcher of choice on a at that point 4-year-old S9 Plus.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just thought that I think that's a nice little demonstration of how strange I can be sometimes, that I went onto a website to check something, went into a trance-like state, ordered the new phone, and now have no interest or ability to deal with the minutiae that I've created for myself.
And you're yet to leave the trance either, which has been a real issue for you in everyday life.
To some extent, yes.
You've got like those like spinny eyes where you just look in and it's just like a spinning sort of thing.
Do you mean like the hypnosis spiral?
Yeah, hypnosis. Yeah, it's like an uzumaki.
An uzumaki?
Yeah,
I don't
which
know
is
who
just
that
the
is.
Japanese word for spiral.
Oh, okay, cool.
Have you ever read Junji Ito's Uzumaki?
No, I haven't. And for a
Okay.
moment, I thought you were... Because when I think of those hypnosis spirals, I think of early 2000s shock comedy magician Rudy Kobe.
Rudy Kobe?
Does anyone remember Rudy Kobe?
I don't know. I don't think that's a real person. It just sounds like a brand of cheese to me.
It was a cat, and that's Colby.
No, I'm pretty sure it's Rudy Colby. Or whatever it is you said. Kobe Smulders.
Yes, she does. Rudy Kobe.
Rudy Kobe.
I reckon... How zoomed in is my computer, by the way?
Yeah, what's going on? I mean, you're showing me photos of this guy, like that's going to make a difference. This doesn't even look like a real person, Nick.
No,
This is just Max Headroom.
No. I mean, it's a character. He was playing a character. Look, he's a magician with a white coat and green pants. He had a sidekick that had, like, Jessica Rabbit.
Why are you showing me this nightmare?
Because it had the spiral. And I was just going to say that... Because I was going to say, whenever I think about... Because he used these hypnosis spirals all the time in his stupid magic shows. And I was going to say, whenever I think about those hypnosis spirals, I think about Rudy Kobe. And then you said... fucking Hamazaki or whatever it was you said. And I was like, wait, we're both saying weird words. Weird's a strong word for a foreign language, but anyway.
Hamazaki?
Hamazaki. That's not what you said, was it?
No. Is Hamazaki like Hayao Miyazaki's knockoff brand?
I'm going to say that I don't know enough about either of those words to properly riff on this riff.
And that's been Pods in the Key of Springfield.
Goodbye, everyone.